All right. Welcome, everyone, to our Live at Lunchtime. I'm Michelle. This is Melissa. Alex is behind the camera. Say hi, Alex.
Hi, everyone.
And we are here to talk about something very special. How to care for senior horses. And we are here with probably one of our most famous seniors. This is Sergeant York.
And he's very itchy today.
He's very itchy.
He says he wants all the scratches right now, which is why he keeps pummeling me with his head.
Oh. So, Melissa, how about you tell us a little bit about this guy?
So, Sergeant York is a 31-year-old Standardbred gelding, and he is a former military working horse. Sergeant York is most famous for taking part in the funerals as a riderless horse. So he was the one that walked with the caskets and held the saddle and boots and the other tack during military funerals down at Arlington Cemetery. So he is one of our oldest residents here at the sanctuary. However, the one that takes the top spot is Lisa, our miniature donkey, and she's 36 years old. So horses can live a very long time, much longer than most people think.
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I have a fun little fact to throw out there. Did you know, Melissa, that there was, in the Guinness Book of World Records, the oldest horse, guess how old? Just take a guess.
Let's see. Well, if Lisa's 36, I'm going to go with maybe like 44.
All right, let's keep going. Alex, you have a guess?
Is it older than 44?
Older
Oh
than
gosh,
44.
I'm gonna go. Let's go 50. Let's go 50. That seems
Even higher.
What?
What? How old was he?
62.
Really?
Years old.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, here's the cool part. So, to calculate how old an equine, a horse is, donkeys are different. How old a horse is in human years, it's a little complicated. So
not
ready.
like a dog, right?
Not
With
like
a
a
dog,
dog.
you just times it by 7 and boom, there's their age.
That's right. So with horses, okay, so like this guy here, he's 31 years old.
Right.
Okay. Now, between birth and 4 years old, you have to calculate their age times 6.5. So by the time they're 4 years old, they're really 26.
What?
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, to get his age, if you did all the calculations after 4 years old, so 5 and up, then it's times 2.5 years.
Okay.
Okay. So, 2.5 years times 31, that's what, like 77 and a half? I think?
Somewhere around
Somewhere around
I've
there.
never been good at math.
Neither have I.
I trust it though.
If anybody in the comments could do that for
Yes.
us, that'd be great.
Actually, I should, no, here it is. Yep, 2.5 times 31 years old, 77 and a half years.
Okay.
Okay. Then you have to subtract 4 years because that was already done,
Okay,
right?
We're 73
73 and a half.
Gotcha.
And then you add the 26 human years.
What?
So he would technically be in human years 99 and a half years old.
York.
Look at you.
Very spry old man.
Shy of 100.
Not only is he spry, he's very handsome. And
Oh,
just
so
look at
handsome.
him,
Look at that.
You really wouldn't know he was that old.
No, you wouldn't. Especially when you see him getting turned out in the field. He was running around yesterday, kicking up his heels, rearing, and carrying on like a wild young boy.
Were you doing that?
He said
she
I
telling
was.
on you? I'm so sorry.
It's like, now all my secrets are out there for all the world to hear. We all know, Sergeant York. We all know.
Now, horses do age just like we do. They age at different times. Some age a little faster than others, some age a little slower than others, and they show different signs of aging.
That's right. And just like with us, they start to show these signs of aging all throughout their life. So you'll start to see, once they start to hit maybe their mid to late teens, you might see, kind of like when we're in our 40s and 50s, we start to wake up with a couple more aches and pains than we ever did. And that's when you might see some arthritis setting in.
That's right.
So, and one of the best things for arthritis for horses is movement. So a lot of people will keep their horses on 24/7 turnout if they can. If not, the most turnout you can get. And if your vet says it's okay, even a gentle riding program, just getting on and going for a nice walk on a loose rein can do wonders for their joints. Keeps them
Absolutely.
lubricated and moving well. Alex.
So I'm curious, at what age would you, or what is starting to consider the horse as an older horse?
An older horse, I'd say probably around 15 or so. You're getting,
15, okay.
You're getting, starting to get to, your your mid to late teens.
Right.
And you start to really notice some different, movement in them, and you might start to see some dental issues popping up here and there. But dental care is very important for our senior horses. They will start to lose molars into their 20s, and you want to make sure that they are able to chew and eat their food properly. And you can see Sergeant York likes to poke his tongue out. Sergeant York had to have all of his incisors, that's his front teeth here, extracted because he had a dental disease that was causing him pain. So his tongue might poke out, but now he's eating great and he put all his weight back on. And weight loss is something you'll see in senior horses quite often, and it's or loss of muscle tone along what's called their top line. So I'm just going to move him up a step so I can show everyone a top line. Oh. So this is their top line. It starts here at their neck, and it goes all the way down their back. And you can see he doesn't have a big, round, fat back, but he's lost a little bit of muscle tone, but not bad.
Yeah.
His ribs are still covered, and he's lean because he's a standardbred. They typically tend to be lean horses. But, yep, you will see the top line starts to go first in our older guys. So that's another reason why if you have a horse that you ride typically, keeping them in a good little workout program is very helpful.
Absolutely.
To keep their muscle tone built up.
Yeah, it's kind of just like us, really.
Exactly.
We start to get arthritis. We start, if we sit all day, we're going to be more sore.
You'll be more sore and stiff, and it's very good even for senior people to do light exercise regularly. So, and sometimes that might be just for a horse, just turnout, or just getting out and taking a walk around the neighborhood for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't need, so a lot of people think that you need to separate your senior horses. You don't. They're social animals. They really do not like to be by themselves.
That's right.
You don't need to separate them. Yes, you need to watch your horse, make sure that they're safe, but they can certainly be turned out.
That's right, and we have plenty of mixed age herds. So we have some horses that are only 10, 11, or 12, and they're out with horses that are well into their 20s. And honestly, I think it keeps our older horses younger because they want to keep up with their younger companion, which, as long as they're physically healthy to do so, is great for them because it keeps them moving around and it keeps them young.
Absolutely.
My buddy?
I know, he's so itchy.
He says,
so itchy.
He says, all the bugs.
All the bugs.
Okay, we're ready for winter when all the bugs go away.
Well, Mister really does like to roll also, so
that's true.
He's got some itchies, don't you?
The first thing he does when he's turned out in the evenings is he goes outside and promptly rolls in the dirt. So keeping Sergeant York clean is not simple. It is not easy.
Oh, poor buddy.
He says, I like to be dirty. He says, I earned it. Yes, you did.
So do we have any questions about senior care? We can talk a little bit more, certainly, but I want to give people a chance to ask any questions they might have.
Yeah, anything specific, feel free to ask and post it in the comments.
And we will answer, and if we don't have an answer for you right off the top of our heads, we will come back to the comments and reply later on for you with the answer, because sometimes I just don't know.
You mean you don't know everything?
I don't know everything.
I don't think any of us
sad
do.
to admit.
We do have a question.
Okay.
So Dawn is curious about any special diets when it comes to horses once they get a little bit older.
Yes. So dietary needs will change. Just like with younger horses, you always want to have free choice hay and water. Salt and mineral blocks are fantastic options to have for them so that they can get all their minor nutrients. And then there are specific grains that are made just for senior horses. They're usually very high in fiber, so they'll have beet pulp added to them typically, and they have a moderate amount of protein. So like your really young growing animals, you want a nice amount of protein so that they'll keep growing big and strong. But once they're seniors, you want all that fiber, keeps gut motility, and it's also gives them a lot of calories that they can use.
Yeah, it's also higher fat content.
That's right.
Too,
and a
because
higher fat content.
They do tend to they can lose weight because they're not eating hay as well with maybe some dental issues or whatever.
Yep.
So if they're not eating hay as well and not getting as much nutrient from their hay, then that's when you start giving them senior.
Correct.
And it has a higher fat content and helps keep weight on.
Exactly. And they can have a good quality vitamin and mineral supplement is also very helpful for senior horses. Sometimes they don't absorb nutrients as well as our younger guys. Their guts are starting to slow down a little bit once they hit those mid to late 20s. So you want to just make sure you have a nice, well-rounded diet for them to keep their weight up. And there's plenty of supplements out there that can help with that also.
Absolutely.
Huh.
Now, some people ask, how can you tell? Can you tell just by looking at a horse if they're older? And there are some signs you can see.
There are some signs, and one of the biggest signs that you can look at is their teeth. So their incisors, which unfortunately, because we have a gum-filled mouth in the front, I can't show you on Sergeant York, but you will see older horses have much longer incisors than if I were to show you Emma, our donkey that we introduced you guys to a couple of weeks ago, who's only 2 years old. She has little tiny teeth. They're like this big. But Sergeant York had big incisors, and they were like this big. So their incisors will start to grow, and there's grooves in them that can help you age them. So that's where the old adage, don't look a gift horse in the mouth, comes from. It's probably old.
Got
That's
it.
free.
Oh, poor body.
Oh, we do have a couple more questions too.
Okay, what do we have?
So one is, it's kind of a cool day. We're entering,
Yes.
it feels like that fall weather, but especially, with the past few months,
That's
how
right.
hot it's been. Stephanie is asking, should seniors be kept inside the barn during the summer days when it's in the high 80s or 90s, kind of that range?
This depends on the individual horse.
Yep.
So there are horses that they just don't do well, just like humans. Some people don't mind the heat. They like the heat. They want to go out in the heat and do activities. And some people don't. And they don't just do as well. So you have to know your individual animal. And sometimes, especially if you have the ability to, it's good for your seniors or any of the horses, especially if they don't have access readily to shelter, to stay in their stalls during the hottest hours of the day. And then they do turn out overnight. You'll see many facilities will do that. Most of our horses, except for the ones that live in the main barn, they all have access to stalls outside with fans, so they get to choose. They either go out in the field, but if you look around on a very hot day, you usually will find no one. They're in their stalls, in the shade, under their fans, enjoying their hay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's very important. But yes, know your individual horse, and then also the type of facility that you have access to.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I say that in a lot of our videos is knowing your individual animal. You have to know your horse and notice any changes, notice what their needs are, and especially as they get older and grow, and age, you especially need to keep even more of an eye on them and
That's
know
right.
their personality and know what they're going through to notice any changes that you might need to pay attention to.
And on those hot days, if your senior has no choice but to have turnout during those hot hours of the day, you can always give them electrolytes, which will help encourage them to drink and keep their fluid intake up.
Absolutely. Because seniors, I think, they do tend to get a little bit more dehydrated, correct?
They can. Just like people, they can suffer from dehydration a little bit easier than your younger guys.
All right, a couple more questions too.
Okay.
Another one from Stephanie was, so Melissa, you mentioned earlier that you start to consider a horse, kind of a senior horse, that older range at about 15.
Yes.
Now, is there an age that a horse should stop being ridden? Or let's say a horse, working horse, like pulling carriages. Is there a specific age that's done?
Cutoff?
Yeah, the cutoff for being ridden.
I think it depends on the individual horse. So you'll see there have been many Olympic medal horses. They're also at a very high fitness level, have competed well into their 20s. There are other horses that by the time they hit their late teens, they may be having a lot of joint issues or other health issues, and they might need to step down either in their workload, so maybe not get competitive anymore. Kind of like my mare, she needed to take a step down and stop being as competitive, but she's still perfectly fine to ride, even though she's 17. She can still do plenty of work for pleasure riding. She's just not competitive. So it depends on your horse, and it depends on what your veterinarian recommends also. But they can work, they can be good pleasure mounts, even just for going on a little jaunt around the property at a walk.
Absolutely.
And it's good for their mental health and their fitness as well.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of other things you can do with older horses too, just because you can't ride them as much or maybe, do as much as you used to with them. I mean, you could set up obstacle courses and teach them groundwork and different things to, liberty
Teach
work.
them all those tricks in hand,
Yeah,
just to
absolutely.
keep their minds going. You don't have to be on their backs to enjoy them. So
That's
there's
right.
plenty that you can do on the ground to keep them enriched and
That's right.
keep the wheels turning.
Yep.
And also to continue to enjoy your time together outside of just grooming
That's right.
and spending quiet time with them.
Yep, and they need to constantly learn also. They enjoy learning new things just like we do. And engagement is good for them.
So Michelle has a question. What are common farrier concerns for older horses?
Good question.
You mentioned the teeth, so what about...
So Farrier, you just want to make sure that you're keeping them on a good 6 to 8 week schedule and keep an eye out. Older horses can get what's called Cushing's disease, and it can cause them to be prone to abscessing. It's easily controlled, typically with a medication called Pergolide. And you see it quite often in horses that are over 20. We have a good handful of horses here that have Cushing's that's easily managed, but you will see that they'll have some more abscessing. You also want to watch out for any kind of new lameness or worsening lameness in them, because you might need to do x-rays with your veterinarian, or if you use a podiatrist, which is an equine vet that specializes in feet, they might need to do x-rays and see if you have any arthritis that's starting in the bones that are located inside the hoof capsule. So you always want to be cautious for that. They may need special shoeing. But otherwise, Sergeant York's 31, worked all his life, and he is barefoot. He just gets a trim. So some of them don't need anything special at all. They just need the same tender love and care that they've been getting their whole lives.
That's right.
Huh, buddy?
And what do you have to do when they have bad arthritis? Can it be difficult for them to pick up their feet?
So it can be difficult for them to pick up their feet, so you just have to make sure that you have a farrier that'll work with you and figure out what works best for them. Some of our horses, we can't trim them in a traditional way to pick their feet up, so our farrier works with them, and he holds their legs where they're the most comfortable. And sometimes we'll put their feet up on little blocks to trim them, so it's whatever's most comfortable for them and whatever's most comfortable for your farrier too. I know, yes, exactly. He says, I agree with that statement.
Very good. Oh, he's so itchy today.
Do we have any more questions?
Not yet, but the last question from Michelle, she just had a very interesting comment that she had the honor of seeing Sergeant York at work during the funeral procession of President Reagan.
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh,
that's
So
fantastic.
that's incredible, Michelle, yes.
That is fantastic.
Wow. Did you know you were famous?
He says, I knew that.
No.
I knew that. He says, yes. Huh, buddy?
Very good. Now, there's other things I think we can talk about too. We talked about, noticing a horse's teeth to help age them.
That's right.
But there's also, muscle conformation. They can tend
Yes.
to lose muscle mass, right?
Yes, they might lose muscle mass.
And something
especially
happens to
top
their
one.
back. That's a special name, right?
Oh,
Yep.
yes. So they can have lordosis, which is also known as a sway back. So you can see, come here, if he'll cooperate. Come on, buddy. He says, no, now I don't want to move. So you'll see, as they start to lose this muscle tone that runs right along here. Here's his spine. His spine is right there. And there's two big long muscles. They run alongside the back here. And what can happen is, as these start to weaken, you'll see it especially in brood mares who have been carrying babies a lot. They can get a sway back. And old geldings can get it too. It's just one of those things. It's usually, I think it's genetic.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
But then they'll get a sway back, so you might see a big dip in their back, and they'll start to develop like a U shape. So instead of being flat here, they start to dip in right along here. And then we'll just finish off the smiley face that I drew on him, because we're dusty.
Oh.
So yes, lordosis, or a sway back, is what you can see sometimes in older horses.
So those are things that you could probably eyeball. And horses do get somewhat, not all do, but some horses
Right.
get a little gray too also, right?
That's right, they will. They'll start to gray around their eyes and their muzzles and on their face. And I don't know if we can see, Sergeant York has a little bit of gray peppering throughout his cheeks. I don't know if you guys can see this at home, but he has some gray here, and he has some gray here on top of his eyes. So just like our house pets, as they get older and start to gray in their faces, the horses can too.
Yeah.
Some won't gray as much, and some will gray more than others.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Does that all depend on their coat color?
It can depend on their coat color, and it can also depend on just the individual animal. So you'll see Rigo, who's almost 10 years younger than him, has a lot more gray above his eyes than Sergeant York does. So, and down along his cheekbones here.
I was also reading, and correct me if I'm wrong, that this little divot here could indicate age also.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
And I think this is also just muscle tone loss.
Right, exactly.
But I'm not 100% positive if that's an old wives' tale or if there's actual basis in fact for that. But he does have pretty big divots above his eyes. Buddy.
You looked relaxed when you were kind of stroking that area just
him,
now.
He was like, yes.
He might like that, yeah.
He says, it's because his forehead's so itchy. And he's done with it.
I know.
We know.
My goodness.
Ooh, another question.
Okay.
So is there any change in the vaccine schedule once a horse gets older?
Vaccines will usually remain the same. They'll remain the same. But you can always ask your vet, and they can always, I believe some vets might pull titers, blood titers, to see how they're doing if they've been getting vaccinated regularly their entire lives. If they have a high titer, they might not need a vaccine. I don't know if they still do that or not. I've been out of that end of vet med for a long time. So, but no, they will stay the same. You always want to make sure that you're keeping up with your core vaccines, especially. Oh, I'm sorry. He just slapped himself with it. I'm so sorry. So yes, always keep up with your core vaccines, and then work with your veterinarian to come up with the best schedule for your horse, because they know your horse well if they've been caring for them for a long time.
Absolutely. What do you think, mister? Huh? What do you think? Now, Melissa, do older horses benefit from massage?
They do. They benefit from massage therapy. They can benefit from chiropractic work. But yes, they do benefit from massage, just like any other horse. They really enjoy it. And it's great if you know how to do even just T-touch is a fantastic thing to be able to do for your horse. It's nice for bonding with them also.
Nice.
So, but yes, you can get a massage therapist to come and work on them. It is very helpful. And just keeping them loose and happy, especially if they're arthritic.
Wonderful.
I know.
What do you
Yes,
think, mister?
he says I would like a massage therapist.
Yeah,
would be nice.
that would be good.
Yes.
Right? So I don't know if we can get him close enough to the camera, but he has a very fun characteristic that I absolutely adore. This one little, I don't know what you would call it, an eyelash, eyebrow, I don't know.
His one little eyebrow hair.
Yeah, the one little hair sticks out so far. It's so cute.
His little long eyelash.
He's got a long eyelash. Yeah, you do.
He says, I do.
Yeah.
This is very true.
You're so
Say
cute.
hi to everybody. Well, don't knock everybody down, though.
I think we could see it right
He
there.
says, it's right there.
He's so cute. So cute.
He says, hi, everyone. How are you doing at home? He says, thanks for joining me in my house today.
Yeah. He's a good boy. This one has the most beautiful trot also. Like,
Yes, he
to
does.
look at him, really, unless you look closely, you would never know how old he was.
You would not, especially when he first goes out for the day.
Yeah.
Because he rotates turnout with some of our other horses here in the main barn. And,
Yeah, he's just amazing. He's beautiful.
he has plenty of vim and vigor left in him, even though he's now 31.
Do we have, we mentioned Lisa, of course.
Yes.
One of our donkeys is 36.
That's
What
right.
about some of our other older horses? Do we have any also in their 30s?
We do. We have Dallas, who I believe is 33 this year. Dallas is another Maine barn resident. He's an Appaloosa gelding. He was formerly used as a camp horse and was rescued a number of years ago by us. And he also is in his 30s. And I'm pretty sure we have a few mules who are in there, either who are 30 or are pushing close to 30. A lot of our residents are in their mid to late 20s, if not their early 30s. And then also for a lot of them, they came with less than stellar backgrounds. So we're not always positive of their exact age. That's right, except for you. You were spoiled.
You were spoiled.
He says, I was a spoiled man. But, so many of them, their ages are guesstimates for some of them.
Okay.
but we do have a very, very large percentage of our population is considered senior.
Also, Jane is curious if Sergeant York has been paired with another horse yet.
Sergeant York is kind of floating around with different horses right now. So he's actually enamored with Emma the donkey.
Oh, yes.
He really loves Emma. If you go on our social media, you'll see a great picture of the two of them over the fence line with each other.
Yes.
But he loves Emma. He also loves spending time with Press and Millie, who are his stallmates. They're next door to him. And they share a catch area. They rotate throughout the day, but they do go out sometimes together. So, but he doesn't have one single friend. He's kind of a ladies' man.
I would
He's
say
got all
so.
the girls in the barn wanting to be his pasture mate.
I would say that's definitely true, except for when Press is in her stall.
Except for when Press is in her
likes
stall.
to bug her.
She wants her own room, and she doesn't want you to go in it with her. So.
But he likes to bug her when
He
she's
does.
in her stall, don't you?
He does.
Yeah. You're a cutie.
God bless you.
Actually, we talked about feed a little bit, but there are some other, what happens when they can't have hay anymore?
Oh, so when they can't have hay anymore, what you can do is you can supplement with hay cubes or hay pellets. And the best thing about those is that you can add water to them, and they turn into a really nice mash, so that way, if your senior horse is lacking a lot of back teeth and can't chew regular hay, if they're what's called quidding, which Q-U-I-D is a quid, it's a little lump of chewed up hay that they wind up spitting out. So that's a great sign to see that if your horse is quitting, not only do you want to make sure that he gets a dental exam right away, but also it might be time to start supplementing their forage with hay cubes or hay pellets, and you add water to those so that way they fluff up really nice. Otherwise, they're very hard compressed pellets or little cubes of alfalfa or Timothy hay or a blend.
So there are lots of options out there.
There are plenty of options
of
out there. The equine nutrition world has gone leaps and bounds.
Which is why horses are
Living
so much longer.
That's right. Between the advances in veterinary medicine and in nutrition for them, they're living much longer and much more happier lives too. Hi, York.
What do you think, buddy?
Yes. Do we have any more questions from anybody?
Well, Michelle is curious about if there's anything else we could mention about Sergeant York when he was working as a military working horse. We mentioned his role in the funeral procession of President Reagan.
That's right.
Yeah.
He had a very prominent role in that.
He did. And he was the riderless horse with the caisson platoon for a number of years. That was, I think, his most renowned funeral that he was in. But he did a whole lot during his service. I forget the exact number, but I don't even think they have an exact number for how many that he did. But he went from racing. He did standardbred racing. He was a trotter, and he had a year off after his racing career before he went into the caisson platoon, and then he was there until he got retired here at the sanctuary.
But he did have a very illustrious career.
He did. He had a very illustrious career, and he's seen a lot of soldiers go through his unit, haven't you?
Yeah.
He says, yes, I have.
He was a very important boy, right? He was very important.
Yes, I was. He says, yes, I was quite important.
And if you go to our website, equineadvocates.org, he has a bio. If you go to our About Residents page, that just has a little bit more information about him and his work.
Nobody. He says, yes. He said, I did so much stuff. And he's also, if you go on, you can also YouTube his name. And there's a few different videos.
He's got a Wikipedia page.
That'll come up. That's right.
There he
He
does.
does. He has his own Wikipedia.
So he's famous.
He's like, that's right. Everybody
He's like, that's right. I'm legit now. I'm on Wikipedia. Everyone knows about me. But you can find a lot of videos of him. I know there's been some special shows done about him that you can watch that go through how he went from racing to being a caisson horse. They were published or filmed a while back, but they have a lot of great information in them. And you get to see footage of him throughout the whole thing. He's like, oh, that feels so.
He loves getting his
Oh
heads.
my gosh, look at that.
I'm just leaving it in this spot. He's
doing it himself.
He's like, let me get it.
He's like,
Let me do
I'll
this
put it where it needs, where the squash needs.
Yeah,
to be.
they do. They're smart. They know what they need.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, oh yeah.
He's like, that is the spot right there.
All right, you do your thing, buddy. There you go.
Okay, you're welcome. Now it's my turn. Okay, yep.
He's like, you have to get this side.
I have to get this side now of him. He's a
You
character.
scratch my back, I'll
Yeah.
scratch
Yeah.
yours.
He says, I am a character.
You're
So
Yes.
I'm curious. So Sergeant York is here at the barn, and Dallas kind of goes in between, out in the
right.
pasture and the main barn here.
Yes.
So is there points where the horses here get a little bit older, depending on how long they've been here, where they get moved around to a different permanent, spot in the
So-
sanctuary?
It'll depend on their health needs. So Dallas has really bad arthritis in his hocks, so we like to keep him up in the main barn so that he can lay down in the shavings where it's nice and squishy and soft for him and be able to sleep. And then he goes out in the pasture all day. York goes out in the pasture for most of the evening into the night right now, but that might change once winter rolls around. And even though he's very healthy for a 31-year-old, he does have some arthritis. So once winter rolls around, he'll probably start getting turned out during the daytime when it's warmer, even though it's still chilly, instead of going out late at night when it's even colder. So it really just depends on the animal. Some of our 30-year-olds, they have very minimal arthritis, so being turned out 24/7 is actually the best thing for them. And yes, and he says, yes, this is correct.
Yes.
So it just depends on our individual horses. But yes, sometimes we'll get new residents in the main barn who have been sanctuary residents for a number of years. And that's because their health needs will change with time.
Makes sense.
Hi, buddy.
I love all the questions.
Yeah, we're getting some great
Good.
questions today. This is fantastic.
Now we did mention earlier they do have some trouble when they get older regulating their temperature. So in the winter time, Melissa, what will we do? What can we do for them to help them?
So
regulate
in the
their
winter
temperature?
time, and if they don't grow a nice thick coat, or even if they're a hard keeper, so that means they don't keep their weight up as well, or they seem to be very sensitive to the cold even with a thick coat, we can blanket them. There's horse blankets that are made in varying weights. So kind of like one day you might wear a sweater, the next day you might wear just a long sleeve shirt, and then another day you want your winter jacket. So horses have the same thing in their horse blankets. They have light, medium, and heavy, and then just sheets that have no insulation but are just meant to keep them dry. So in some of our seniors, that's all they need. If there's wet weather, we put a rain sheet on them and it keeps them from getting wet, and then they stay nice and comfortable. And others don't tolerate the cold as well, so they'll get nice fluffy medium weights to keep them warm and conserve their heat during the winter time.
What do you think about that? Do you like that idea?
I'm probably going to get a blanket.
He's like, yeah, I guess.
He's like, oh, that sounds great. Bundle me up.
Hi, buddy. You're itchy again? Here.
He's always itchy.
Do your
He
thing.
says I'm always itchy. Thank you.
There we go.
He says thank you.
There. Okay.
And if you come visit us on our next open day, you too can scratch Sergeant York's forehead. I promise he'll probably still be itchy.
Probably. Probably. Right, buddy? Oh, I think he's getting a little sleepy.
He says, yes, I'm getting a little tired.
A little sleepy, huh?
Time for an after lunch nap. Is that what this is? He says, yeah. So much scratching and lots of fun with his new friends on Facebook Live.
That's right.
And he's ready for a snooze.
You snoozing.
Huh, buddy? Well, do we have any more questions from anybody out there? No more questions?
All right. Is there
All
anything
right.
else you wanted to conclude with, Melissa?
I think that's it for now. And we'll be back next Wednesday
We
at
sure
1
will.
o'clock. Same great time, same great place.
That's right. And remember, senior horses, all of them are special, but senior horses are so special, and they still have so much to offer and
They do.
teach us.
They are a gift to us.
They are constant
And
teachers.
if they've served us through their younger years, we deserve to serve them through their older years. So,
Absolutely.
something to always keep in mind, that we are supposed to be good stewards towards our animals, even when they just want their foreheads to be scratched all day long. So, but that'll be it for me and Michelle today and Sergeant York. So make sure you stop on by our website if you want to go see his bio or Google his name. You can find some great YouTube videos of him. And then we will see you again next Wednesday.
That's right. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.